Good morning to you. Look at that. It's 7 a.m. Monday, September 8th, 2025. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We will take your calls at 888-658-0234. If you like sunshine, we got it for you today. It's going to be upper 70, mid to upper 70, something like that. Meteorologist Mike Favetta. He knows the details with the full Garden State forecast, and a darn nice one, Mike.
It is a very nice one. Yeah, coming off a pretty wet weekend. It was one of those almost October-y feeling weekends with all of the clouds and the showers, specifically throughout Saturday and Sunday. Now we look forward to a dry stretch that'll start our morning nice and clear with temperatures in the 40s right now, just about 13 degrees above freezing. That's the kind of reference we're going for here early on this Monday. Even 63 down in Long Branch, 52 in Toms River, and 54 in Atlanta and Ship Bottom. So it is certainly much cooler than yesterday by a solid 16 degrees from Sussex to Flemington, even 13 degrees cooler than yesterday in Mount Holly, and 10 degrees cooler in Cape May. So summer's kind of winding down. And with that, we have the cooler, drier weather that moves in today. Dew points are nice and low, dry in the 40s, and that'll keep it feeling crisp throughout this afternoon. So the last of yesterday's clouds moving quickly to the east. We'll probably see some of those clouds linger throughout this evening. Had a very pretty sunset last night. And now the winds move in from the north and northwest, drying the air out and helping us feel more like fall with that refreshing dry feel through the rest of the day. Winds turn lighter this evening, and they're pretty calm going into tomorrow. Then they start to pick up again at the coast, especially by Tuesday afternoon, tomorrow afternoon into Wednesday, with that little bit of a northeasterly breeze up to about 30 miles per hour. That'll make it a little gustier there because there's a system offshore that tries to form that might throw back some clouds our way by the middle of the week. So enjoy the full sunshine today. Temperatures hold just a few degrees below average in the mid 70s and feel quite pleasant throughout the overnight. We're back in the 40s tomorrow morning, north and west, and then warming into the mid 70s. Look what happens by Wednesday morning. Those clouds move in, and with that northeasterly breeze, which is typical with a cloudy day, you'll see those chances of rain showers come in. The dots of green appear on the map, and those will likely be around throughout Wednesday evening, giving us a chance of some of that light rain in through Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening. That eventually clears away as that system pulls out by Thursday, and then we're back into the 70s with sunshine by the afternoon. So a little hiccup midweek, giving us some clouds and wet weather, and then turning a little bit warmer by Thursday into Friday with some milder weather on the way, but it is certainly much cooler this week, feeling like fall should, until we warm it up by Thursday with a little bit of 80s back in the forecast. Ken, we'll detail the weekend and let you know if that trend keeps up for this upcoming weekend.
All right.
Coming up in a few minutes.
Look at that. You with your, when you said October, I got a little twinge in my stomach. I thought,
Yeah.
no, he didn't say that. As long as you do this, as long as in February you say June, we'll let you get by.
I'll
Give us the
make that
positive.
note.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Nice to see you this morning, Mike. 7:04 is our time. It is 49.9 on my thermometer. That's a frightening thing. This is the first time this season I've seen it dip below 50 degrees. 49.9 on my thermometer in northern New Jersey here, 53 degrees in Trenton. In terms of traffic, we have a crash reported. Let's take a look at I-80. There's a crash reported on I-80 eastbound just west of exit 37, which is Hibernia Avenue, Rockaway Township. This is a few miles away from that, so it's starting to build from this camera angle, but just so that you know, look at the people on the right there too. Is that Route 15, Pam? Yeah, that's Route 15 off to the right. And what's coming towards you is I-80. So just so you know, from that point, it's still another couple of miles to where we have the crash, but you could see it's starting to build way back there, 2.5 miles back. Again, a crash on I-80 eastbound west of exit 37, Hibernia Avenue, Rockaway. All lanes are open, but delays, as you can see, because of that. We have a vehicle fire on Route 42 northbound, just north of exit 8, which is Clementon Blackwood Road in Gloucester Township. One lane, the right lane and the right shoulder are both closed. We just have a pop-up here, a crash on the turnpike, express lanes northbound, north of exit 71, which is Broad Avenue in Englewood. So that's in the vicinity as you approach the GWB approach. So that's not far from there. I wonder how that's going to impact traffic. Yeah, let's take a look at it, Pam. Thank you. Pam is saying, there you go. Look, At Pam, look at that. As it's happening, she brings up the shot. She's amazing. So that is what I just reported. Thank you to Pam. A crash on the Turnpike Express lanes northbound, north of exit 71, Route 4, which is Broad Avenue, Englewood, with the left lane blocked. And thanks to Pam, we have instantaneous vision of it. So that's going to cause a nightmare until they can get a tow. That's at least 40 minutes or so before that gets taken care of. And we have a crash going toward Philadelphia on I-76 westbound, west of exit 1B, which is 295 in Gloucester City. The right shoulder is closed. Also delays now on 495 eastbound. That's the Helix. When you come from Route 3 into the Lincoln Tunnel, we are now told that on 495, it says there, it's just delays from massive amounts of volume right now. Let's take a look at all of the Hudson River crossings. Do we have another shot of the GWB, Pam, or is that the shot? Oh, great. They just zoomed out for us. I think they're watching the show. Thank you so much, folks at 511. So this is also the approach to the GWB, which is what we mentioned a couple of minutes ago. And you could see there's the crash we just reported on. And you can see what would be on the extreme left of the screen would be the lower level approach to the GWB. That's the upper level approach on the right. So you would think the lower level would be your better bet, but it's not. It's stopped. The upper level where the crash is actually moving better. But I would avoid that area if at all possible, because it's only going to get bad when they bring the tow there. So just be aware of that. We have delays at the Holland Tunnel. We're told it's 25 minutes in now at the Holland Tunnel. It is 30 minutes at the Lincoln, and it is now, I'm guessing based on that, that's going to give you about 45 minutes into the GWB. Busy morning, and it's early. It's 7:07 right now. The 28-year-old sister of Minnesota Timberwolves star Naz Reid was fatally shot on September 6th in Jackson Township. Now, police found Torea Reid with multiple gunshot wounds outside an apartment complex. Shaquille Green, 29 years of age, believed to be her boyfriend, has been charged with murder and weapons offenses after being caught nearby. The motive, if any, remains unclear. Green is now in custody awaiting a detention hearing. 7:07. Authorities have arrested 13 members of a violent auto theft ring that's based in Camden County, linked to the murder of Philadelphia police officer Richard Mendez. The group allegedly stole 41 vehicles across 4 states, including here in New Jersey and next door in Pennsylvania. 3 members, including 18-year-old Yobrani Martinez Fernandez, face murder charges for the October 2023 killing of Mendez during an attempted car theft at Philadelphia International Airport. Their trial is set for November. In Atlantic City, 2 men, both 21, have pleaded guilty to first-degree aggravated manslaughter in the 2022 shooting death of 27-year-old Timothy Council Jr. Oquan Thomas and Fuquan Moore, along with a third man, fired 26 rounds across Absecon Boulevard, fatally striking Council. Moore faces 15 years in prison, while Thomas faces 16 to 18 years, both with 85% served before parole eligibility. So they'll be in jail for a number of years. Sentencing is set for October. A third defendant, Mikhail Allen, was sentenced to 15 years back in April. Our time is 7:09. In Branchburg, an elementary school teacher faces serious charges. Kenneth Vaughn is 34. He's from Peapack. He was arrested and accused of distributing and possessing child sexual abuse materials. The 4th grade teacher at Stony Brook School allegedly shared files via social media and messaging platforms. The investigation began after a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Vaughn was charged with 2nd-degree distribution and 3rd-degree possession of child sexual abuse materials. Branchburg school officials confirmed Vaughn does not work for the district anymore as of this past Friday. 7:09 is our time. In Ocean Township, New Jersey. 37-year-old Alicia Campbell of Mays Landing has been sentenced to 6 years in prison for stealing $147,000 from her employer, Greenbrier Ocean Air, a senior living community in Waretown. Campbell is a former lifestyle director, and she now we don't have to say allegedly anymore. She funneled funds through Venmo into her personal account over 3 years. She also received 18 months for obstruction of justice after forging letters claiming her child had cancer. Campbell must repay the full stolen amount. Time is 7:10. Netflix Studios at Fort Monmouth has cleared another hurdle with the Eatontown Planning Board approving Phase 1B of the $1 billion project. The phase includes 4 sound stages, 3 mill buildings, and key structures on the former U.S. Army base in Oceanport and Eatontown. The streaming giant aims to create a premier East Coast construction and production hub with demolition of old buildings underway and a property sale closing expected by December. This is extremely exciting. This will literally make New Jersey Hollywood East. You could kind of sense what happened to Atlanta about 20 years ago could very well be happening to New Jersey. And the benefit for these people, New York City is within an hour of where that location is. So if people come here for acting, they could live somewhere between New York City and that location, enjoy the nightlife in the city if that's what they want, and then be able to be at work in the day and be in the ideal location for that. This is really exciting. Oceanport's planning board will review further plans next month. 7-Eleven right now, and New York's Governor Kathy Hochul insisted that children are better off not having cell phones during school shootings and classroom emergencies because she says their devices could tip off their location to maniacs. That's her quote. Hochul's comments yesterday or I should say on Friday, come after a controversial bell-to-bell cell phone ban in New York classrooms took effect last week, igniting controversy from parents who want to be able to contact their kids during the school day. New Jersey and 38 other states already have some form of restrictions against cell phones in the classrooms. You know, that was the big debate here. Does the state have to pay for those bags to lock up the phones? We figured it out in New Jersey. At least 18 other states are now in the same circumstances as us. Washington, D.C. as well. They have bell-to-bell bans in those 18 states on phones during the school day. So from the minute the kids walk through the door till they walk out, no phone, period. Hochul signed the policy into effect in May, but a number of parents in New York were uneasy about the dramatic change in the Big Apple last week. 7:12 right now, liberal media and politicians have been silent on the savage murder of a young Ukrainian refugee in a North Carolina train after a career criminal with no fewer than 14 arrests was charged with her murder. Now, this woman, it's hard to see her there in that smaller picture, but this woman's name is Irina Zarutska. She's 23. She was stabbed to death on the light train that you were seeing right there. There's the woman who was stabbed to death, the alleged perpetrator on the right. So the surveillance footage that they have is horrifying. It shows the moment the unsuspecting young woman was brutally attacked. She was on her cell phone when the video allegedly shows the man we showed you a minute ago stab her to death. 35-year-old DeCarlos Brown Jr. is the man we're talking about, allegedly shown pulling out a pocket knife and getting out of his seat around Zarutska before the video cuts just as he prepares to plunge the blade into her. Footage shared by police shows this. Zarutska is totally unaware of the killer behind her, fiddling with her phone as Brown allegedly unfolds the knife and prepares to attack. It's like a horror film. After the killing, the attacker can be seen wandering through the train, spattering blood all over the floor. And the amazing thing, he's carrying the weapon. Nobody notices. There are people all over the place looking at their phones, having a conversation. This guy literally stood up, stabbed a young woman to death, was dripping in blood. And if you look at the video, literally everybody's just going about their business, like nothing ever happened, which tells you it's literally every man for himself, every woman for herself. So when people in New York say you don't need personal protection, you don't need a weapon, you don't need pepper spray, you could always call the police. Screw you. Screw you. Because maybe if somebody near this animal saw him getting up and opening the blade, they could have screamed something, pulled out pepper spray, something to stop this. By the way, the reason she was in the United States was she was fleeing the war in Ukraine. She came here for safety. She chose a city like Charleston, not Charlotte. I was confused the two. Charleston, because she figured, middle Atlantic states, it's a safer place. It's not New York. It's a good place to be. Yet you have a liberal mayor, by the way, this is the thing. They always talk about, well, red states, this is where murders happen too, because they have guns. Bullshit. This is a liberal city run by a liberal council and a Democrat mayor. It's always the blue cities in the red states where this shit happens. So this animal has 17 major, serious, felonious arrests, and you assholes on the left allow him to get out of jail every time. A liberal judge, a liberal mayor, a liberal police chief. Bullshit. That young woman should be alive right now. She did nothing. She was sitting on her phone, legally paying to get on that train. And we failed her as a society because you assholes on the left don't know about criminal justice. You think criminal justice means let anybody who is a minority out of jail. That is not criminal justice, because those people who happen to be minorities or not, who are in jail, come out and kill other minorities. That's not criminal justice, you jackasses. That's crime. Charlotte's Democrat mayor, by the way, even thanked publications that chose to keep the video of this jerk killing this woman from the public. Why? Let the public see what this animal did. As it turns out, Judge Teresa Stokes, we showed her a few moments ago with a smile on her face on the left of the screen. She was the last judge to release the alleged jerk after his 14th arrest. And by the way, you know what she does for a living? This is the irony. Aside from being a judge, she runs a Charlotte treatment facility for people who have mental illness. So she should be the one to best judge somebody's mental faculties. And she let this lunatic out of jail after 14 serious arrests. She let him out to pray. You should be in jail, Judge. Somebody lock this bitch up. Lock her up for what she did. I think once judges are held liable and responsible for their actions, I think you'll see them acting a little differently if they are called to task for their actions. I'd love to see that. You'd see an end to liberal judges all over America. How dare you let this animal run free to murder people in the streets? What if it was your kid? What if it was your father, mother, loved one? Now this woman's family back in Ukraine, this is what they had. They could have had her kid in a war zone and alive, but she comes to America for safety and gets slaughtered by a criminal. 7:17 is our time. Shifting gears now. Lucky Powerball players in Missouri and Texas each had winning tickets in the lottery's historic $1.79 billion drawing on Saturday night, ending a drought that spanned over 3 months. Now, these people here, people from Texas, apparently they were the owners of one of the two tickets. The winning numbers, by the way, in case you have the second or third prize, you don't have the first prize if you're in New Jersey. The numbers were 11, 23, 44, 61, 62. The red Powerball was 17. The new multimillionaires will split the jackpot equally between the two tickets, each choosing between an annuitized prize of $895 million paid out over 29 years or a one lump sum of $410.3 million before taxes. Always take the lump sum. Always take the lump sum. Just saying. 7:18 right now. It is 47 degrees. Chilly. It is 51 in Trenton. Right before, as the sun is coming up, you always have a little influx of wind off the ocean, and you always get about a 2 to 3 degree drop. All my years as a reporter out in the field, I always found that. Anyway, when we come back, New Jersey Globe, we have Zach Blackburn in for David Wildstein. We'll have the latest on New Jersey's political scene with the Inside Edge. We're coming right back. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Monday. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:19, taking your calls at 888-658-0234. Sunshine today, highs in the low to mid 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Mike, I watched my thermometer now dip. It's now coming up, so the sun must have just peeked over the trees by me. And so it went literally from a few minutes ago, 46 degrees. Now it's 50.6. So the thermometer's in the sun, even though I try to keep it on the north side of the structure here. But we're saying 51 in Trenton, 50.6. So 51 here too. It's brisk.
It is brisk. It is cool. It is a fall-like feel to the air. So everybody headed back to work and school with the apple cider, the pumpkin spice lattes in hand. And with so much clear weather today, it'll actually warm up very nicely thanks to the dry air that's in place. Temperatures quickly climbed to 72 in Point Pleasant, 74 in New Brunswick. We're looking at a beautiful day. Plenty of clear sky. Any of the clouds from the weekend are well offshore, so we'll keep that clearing throughout today, but we'll likely see a return to the clouds by the time we get to Wednesday. All this clear sky in the middle of the country, that's what we enjoy for today and tomorrow. Then, by Wednesday, the system offshore moves up the coast and develops and throws back some clouds and showers our way. So, Wednesday's looking to be a little bit grayer, maybe some spotty showers by the afternoon. But until that time, plan on the very dry weather. Look at these dew points in the 40s, feeling beautiful, nice and cool and crisp, and staying that way through tomorrow. Then we get that wind off of the water, and you see those dew points jump into the 60s, meaning it gets much more muggier down toward the coast with that wind off of the water. And even throughout the day on Thursday, we'll see that humidity start to climb as the temperatures warm up as well. Then we get into Friday and Saturday, and while most of the clouds stay offshore, we'll kind of be in between systems, so there's still some clear sky around, but temperatures warm back into the low 80s for Saturday and even by Sunday. And then we'll see our next round of clouds move in by Sunday night, leading to some possible rain by Monday. So it's a pretty good looking week ahead, especially as we take it into next week with no real big weather threats on the horizon. Saturday is a nice dry start to the weekend, 75 and sunny, and then warming up by Sunday with a little bit of a breeze off of the water. So slightly milder and a little bit more of a humid finish to the weekend as we get up to 77. But overall, Ken, a fall looking week ahead with a very pleasant weekend too. So very decent weather in the next few days.
All right, thank you, sir. And
You bet.
indeed, it is fall-like. Yes,
Yes.
Pam is so excited right now in our ear. She is singing pumpkin spice tea. That's what she's singing right now in my ear. So happy, happy lady. Well, look, we had our summer. She can enjoy her fall. As long as in January we start talking, looking ahead to 90 degrees, we're good. Thank
Yeah.
you, Mike. We'll check back. It is 51 degrees now. It is rising very quickly. It must. I'm assuming from Mike telling us in the past, when the temperature fluctuates that quickly, it's usually because the air is very dry or relatively dry. I'm guessing. I don't know because I'm not a meteorologist. He would know. So we'll ask him when he comes around next time. But it's 51 now in North Jersey and 51 in Trenton. 7:23 is our time. Looking at traffic, we have an overturned tractor trailer on 1 and 9 southbound by 78 in Newark. The right lane of the two lanes is closed. We also have a vehicle fire on Route 42 northbound, north of exit 8 in Clementon Blackwood Road in Gloucester Township. The right shoulder is closed. We have a crash on the Turnpike Express lanes northbound by 71. So this is by the approach to the GWB. Pam, if you have it, there we go. So you could see the police activity there behind there. So that's the shot that we always show you for the upper level for the GWB. So happens that that's where the accident is. So that's going to be a mess. You can see upper and lower levels both slow. Right now, your better bet is the lower level on your left. Upper level is very slow, and we're being told it's 40 to 45 minutes into the GWB as a result. And the Lincoln is about 25 minutes in. The Holland is at least 30 minutes. So it's an ugly ride into Manhattan today. Some other local roads, just to talk, we're doing it kind of backwards. We did the Hudson River first because of the accident. We have a crash on I-80 eastbound west of 37, which we showed you before. Pam actually brought that up. She had that shot. This is near the vicinity of Route 15. We've talked about for years the area where the sinkhole is. My guess is that area has it's a bend, right? And as they come around the bend there, especially in the morning with the sunshine, my guess is that because we get a lot of accidents there, my guess is that the sun kind of hits their faces and people hit the brakes and they get there we go. So there's a little volume. It's not too bad, but look at how sharp that shadow is. So they're driving right into the sun. To have the shade right behind the car like that, they're heading dead east at this hour. So it's just beyond that point that accident is reported. Not so bad though. It says all lanes are open. Not too bad. Anyway, it is 7:25 right now. And Pam, let's go ahead to Inside Edge if we can. It is time for politics from Trenton, like nobody else could tell us about it. Our dear friend David Wildstein has the morning off. We now get our report from Zach Blackburn with the Inside Edge.
Good morning. Welcome to the Inside Edge. I'm Zach Blackburn. Today is Monday, September 8th, and I'm coming to you live from a newly renovated Inside Edge studio. Let's talk about sales tax today. Labor Day came and went, and with it came a new onslaught of advertisements in the governor's race, especially as mail-in voting is set to start later this month. One such ad was an attack ad against Jack Ciattarelli from a group backed by the Democratic Governors Association. The ad included a couple of attacks, including a line in which a narrator said that Ciattarelli is, quote, talking about a 10% sales tax. The exact wording of that narration is important because Jack Ciattarelli has technically talked about a 10% sales tax. At a June rally in Bergen County, an attendee asked Ciattarelli whether he would consider abolishing the state's income tax and recouping some of those funds through an increase in the state's sales tax. Taking a cue from the attendee, Ciattarelli mentioned a recent fundraising trip he'd taken to Tennessee, and he mentions that Tennessee doesn't have an income tax, but does in some places have up to 10% sales tax, including on items like food and clothing, items that are generally exempt from sales tax in New Jersey. He's went on to talk about how every option is on the table in terms of lowering the tax burden on New Jerseyans. And while he hasn't released a super detailed tax plan, he also definitely hasn't proposed an increase in the sales tax or an abolition of the income tax. Still, that little 5-second snippet made its way into the DGA ad, and it sparked controversy since. Of course, no political messaging exists in a vacuum. The attack ad also tried to tie him to Donald Trump and to Medicaid cuts. And it clearly was intended to imply that Ciattarelli has made this increase in sales tax a central plank to his campaign, and has looked to define him with the clip. If the DGA thought voters would interpret that line as Jack just mentioning a sales tax increase, then it wouldn't have a value to it very much, and it would have made the ad. But still, the narrator technically stuck to the truth and used the verb talk about, which Jack did. And while the DGA stuck to very careful phrasing, the Mikey Sherrill campaign took it a little bit further, actually, including one tweet from Mikey Sherrill's X account, which said that Jack Ciattarelli is, quote, pushing a 10% sales tax on food and clothing. Pushing can be a pretty versatile and vague word, but Jack Ciattarelli hasn't made the sales tax increase part of his policy platform or stump speech. And so omitting context isn't a new phenomenon in politics. I know that if everyone took a look at anti-Sherrill attack ads, we could absolutely probably find similar instances or similar practices in how they frame certain votes or how those attack ads go. And it's definitely not a new concept. Still, there have been concerns that a precedent like this could lead to an even more slippery slope. Candidates will have to be more careful of what they talk about on the trail, even if they're simply saying that policymakers should look at how other states handle certain issues. Maybe most importantly, for the purposes of New Jersey politics, the Ciattarelli campaign's response to this kerfuffle shows that it could be painful for them. Ciattarelli's lawyer sent a cease and desist letter demanding that Democrats stop, quote, mischaracterizing his words. And his campaign launched a webpage called lyingmikey.com, saying that the entire basis of that section of the ad is untruthful. Ciattarelli has called Democrats desperate. Democrats have called Ciattarelli desperate. Everyone seems to be a little bit desperate. There is an election to win after all. And David published a more detailed story on that dispute on Saturday evening, if you want to read more. But ultimately, most New Jerseyans aren't going to read about the nuances of whether an audio clip in an attack ad tells the full story of a Bergen County rally from earlier this summer. And that means that an attack ad like this could still very well have an effect on how November goes. George Costanza, the patron saint of pessimism and falsehood, said, "It's not a lie if you believe it." It's up to New Jerseyans to decide whether they believe it. And I hope you have a good Monday. This has been the
That's the Inside Edge. And that is Zach Blackburn. And I swear, Zach Blackburn looks, and this is not meant in any way but complimentary, he looks like Macaulay Culkin. Doesn't he look like the Home Alone kid? Macaulay Culkin grown up? So anyway, there you go. That's a good thing. Thank you, Zach. 7:31. It is 49 degrees right now. The temperature's fluctuating between 49 and 53 because the sun's going in and out, but that tells you what the air is like at this hour. Phone lines are open, by the way, at 7:31. We'll take your calls at 888 658 0234. 888 658 0234. Nice sunny day. Highs in the low to mid 70s. Perfect early fall day. The full Garden State forecast with meteorologist Mike Favetta in just a moment. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. We are seen daily at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News on, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X. And we're streamed live on Substack, Rumble, and Twitch at twitch.tv/OnNJ. We're coming right back.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
I feel like saying something inspiring like, when the wind blows early in the morning, we take deep breaths and life inspires. Whenever we play that rejoinder, thank you, Pam. You inspire me. Good morning. It's 50 degrees on your Monday morning, Monday, September 8th, 2025. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. Beautiful early fall sunshine, highs in the low to mid 70s. Technically, it ain't even fall yet. We got another couple of weeks of summer. This is end of summer sunshine. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the detailed Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. It is a very Zen-like morning, right? You have the beautiful sunrise with the thin clouds in the distance. Nice way to start the day. And with that, we have a nice cool beginning. Nothing too wild like the rains that we had the last few mornings. And of course, the lighter breezes that'll be on tap for today. Just some thin clouds offshore, clear sky over New Jersey this morning. And with that, temperatures warm nicely into the low 70s where we should be for the first week of September. It feels like it, certainly, with all of the dry weather around and the low humidity. So as our average high gets up to 81 this time of year, we're slightly cooler than that, but still enjoying all the sun throughout today, especially with the cooler feeling into this afternoon. So there go the clouds from yesterday and over the weekend. And now with a northeasterly breeze coming in, it'll start to cool us down over the overnight into tomorrow. Tomorrow, yet again, climbs into the low 70s. It'll feel great. Then the clouds come in with some showers for Wednesday. Wednesday's kind of be a gray day with some spotty sprinkles around. That is, of course, after this high pressure slides on by and it gives us our lovely weather today and tomorrow. So you see this trough offshore. That's that dotted brown line. The weather system rides up along it, gives us our clouds throughout the day on Wednesday with some showers Wednesday afternoon and evening, and then that moves out. So the front that comes in on Thursday starts to clear out our skies, but really brings in some warmer weather by this weekend, and that in turn will help us climb to, well, upper 70s by the time we get to Friday into Saturday. So the weekend turns a little bit warmer upcoming, could even get up to 81 in some parts of New Jersey by the middle of this week. So looking very pleasant and warm into Friday and Saturday, even going into Sunday with a high of 77. So pretty weather ahead. I think we're sunny all throughout. It's just the cooler mornings that may take you by surprise, given how cool it is this morning and even for the next few mornings. With a little bit of a northeasterly breeze at the coast, this is the shore points forecast. Notice we're not as chilly because you had those little bit of a morning breezes, like Ken was saying. As the sun rises, it doesn't cool off as much, but that little bit of a breeze off of the water, because the water is still in the low 70s, it'll feel a little bit milder. Afternoon highs climb into the mid 70s, and it looks beautiful into the upcoming weekend again. So I think just one day this week, Wednesday, is the only gray and cloudy day. And then beyond that, it's back to sunshine. So a decent looking week ahead, Ken. Lots of clear weather going into this weekend.
There you go. We like those nice weekends. Clear weather weekends are good. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate that. 7:35 right now, 40, back to 49.7 degrees in northern New Jersey. Keeps fluctuating. We have 51 degrees in Trenton right now. And in terms of traffic, we got a lot of that. We have a crash on the New Jersey Turnpike. Let's take a look, Pam, the Jersey Turnpike shot. So you take a look at the lane of traffic coming right toward us where my name is Ken there. You see those? Okay. So if you go over one lane to the left, you'll see that that lane is more congested and slowing down. And the reason for that is there is a crash on the Jersey Turnpike outer roadway northbound, which is what those people are doing, northbound. And that is by 13A, Newark Airport, routes 1 and 9 in Elizabeth. The right lane is blocked. So the people it's toward the left of the screen, but it is their right lane. Just beyond the shot that we're looking at, they come upon the crash that's in the right lane, and the right lane is closed. So that's why that right lane, if you will, which is by the S in Rosato, see Ken Rosato live, the S in Rosato where those cars are, they're about to hit the area where the crash is, and that's why they're slowing down. There you have it. Love when the cameras cooperate. We have an overturned tractor trailer on 1 and 9 northbound, which is I-78 in Newark. The right lane of the two lanes closed. We have a crash on at JFK Airport. So if you're headed to JFK to catch a flight, which is always a beast if you're coming from New Jersey, but a lot of people do catch international flights from JFK. Terminal 8 departures in New York has an accident. The worst thing that could happen, because now you can't get dropped off. And apparently, even going by the arrivals level to drop people off, that's so jammed right now. Good luck. So the bottom line is, if you have a flight at 9, I hope you're almost there now, okay, if you're going to JFK, because it is a mess of traffic, just to give you a heads up on that. We have a crash also on the Turnpike. Let's take a look at the camera, Pam, approaching the GWB, if we can. Look at the mess that is, upper and lower levels. So not only do we have heavy traffic, I guess they just you see the emergency vehicle? They must have just taken away the crash. All right. So the white truck, Pam tells us, our director, Pam, that was involved in the crash we've been reporting for the last half hour. So the crash has been moved, or obviously the truck is the second vehicle in the crash. It's coming off right now. But look at the damage that's done. Upper and lower levels are a mess. We're told it's 45 to 60 minutes into on the GWB right now to Manhattan. And it ain't that much better on the other approaches, folks. It's 35 minutes at the Lincoln and 35 to 40 at the Holland. Not a good morning making your way in, just letting you know. 7:38. In a fiery escalation in the New Jersey governor race, the Republican nominee Jack Ciattarelli has accused Democratic rival Mikey Sherrill of lying about his stance on a sales tax increase. Ciattarelli's campaign issued a cease and desist letter demanding that Sherrill remove what they call blatantly false claims from her website, alleging he proposed a 50% sales tax hike on essentials. Ciattarelli, invoking Sherrill's Navy service, accused her of violating the Navy's honor code by misrepresenting his words from a Bergen County town hall. Sherrill's campaign fired back, calling Ciattarelli, quote, desperate, and pointing to his voting record on taxes. They didn't say whether what he said was true or not, though. Notice that they kind of played the diversion tactic by saying, oh, yeah, well, you have an ugly nose or something silly like that. Just answer the question, Mikey Camp. Did you lie about what Ciattarelli's saying? It's quite simple, yes or no. And if you did, just stop it. Simple as that. 7:39, a political shakeup in one of New Jersey's most influential counties. Republican candidate Jack Ciattarelli, whom we just talked about, picked up the support of Garfield's Mayor Everett Garthrow Jr. And that wasn't the only surprise. On New Jersey's Izzy Conklin takes us inside the event.
Bergen County has a greater population than 8 states. And the road to a statewide victory goes through Bergen County.
In the city of Garfield, people gathered into a small upstairs area in the Garfield Recreation Department to show support for Mayor Everett E. Garnto Jr.'s endorsement of Republican gubernatorial candidate Jack Ciattarelli. So many people showed up that they had to move to the gymnasium downstairs.
For the last 7.5 years, Phil Murphy's policies have left us with sky-high taxes, soaring electric bills, and less safe communities. Jack Ciattarelli is ready to turn this state around. He is committed to cutting and capping property taxes. And this one really resonates with me, backing the men and women in blue. He promises to restore COLA and protect their pensions, and he's allowing them to do their jobs by taking the handcuffs off of our police officers and putting it on the criminals who break the law and deserve to be handcuffed. Garfield has an important role this November. We need to vote for Jack. Encourage anyone not yet registered to get registered. This is about New Jersey's future, and Garfield can lead the way here. As mayor, I'm asking Republicans, Democrats, independents alike, stand with me in supporting Jack Ciattarelli for governor.
Not only was Mayor Garnto endorsing Ciattarelli, he was also publicly switching parties.
So your next lieutenant governor, James Gannon, the sheriff of Morris County, and I want to welcome your mayor to the right side of the aisle. Mayor, thank you for the endorsement. Thank you for the courageous decision. His switch to Republican reminds me of something Ronald Reagan once said. I didn't leave the Democratic Party, it left me.
For On New Jersey, I'm Izzy Conklin.
Thank you, Izzy, for that. It's 7:42 now, and the 28-year-old sister of Minnesota Timberwolves star Naz Reid was fatally shot Saturday in Jackson Township. Police say Torea Reid was shot with multiple gunshot wounds outside an apartment complex. Shaquille Green, who was 29, was believed to be her boyfriend at the time, and he's been charged with murder and weapons offenses after being caught nearby. The motive is not clear at this point, and Green is in custody awaiting a detention hearing. 7:42, and authorities have arrested 13 members of a violent auto theft ring that's based in Camden County, and they say it is linked to the murder of Philadelphia police officer Richard Mendez. The group allegedly stole 41 vehicles in 4 states, including New Jersey and Pennsylvania. 3 members, including 18-year-old Yobrani Martinez Fernandez, face murder charges for the October 2023 killing of Mendez during an attempted car theft at Philadelphia International Airport, and the trial is set for November. In Atlantic County, 2 men, both 21, have pleaded guilty to first-degree aggravated manslaughter in the 2022 shooting death of 27-year-old Timothy Council Jr. Oquan Thomas, Fuquan Moore, and a third man fired 26 rounds across Absecon Boulevard, fatally striking Council. Moore is facing 15 years in prison, while Thomas faces up to 18 years, both with 85% served before they can be eligible for parole. Sentencing set for October. A third defendant, Michael Allen, was sentenced to 15 years back in April. 7:43 in Branchburg, an elementary school teacher faces some serious charges. 34-year-old Kenneth Vaughn of Peapack was arrested, accused of distributing and possessing child sexual abuse materials. The 4th grade teacher at Stony Brook School allegedly shared files via social media and messaging platforms. The investigation began after a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Vaughn was charged with 2nd-degree distribution and 3rd-degree possession of child sexual abuse materials. Branchburg school officials did confirm that Vaughn does not work for the district as of this past Friday. And in Ocean Township, 37-year-old Alicia Campbell of Mays Landing has been sentenced to 6 years in prison for stealing $147,000 from her employer, Greenbrier Ocean Air, a senior living community in Waretown. Campbell is a former lifestyle director at the facility, and they say that she funneled funds through Venmo into her personal account over 3 years. She also received 18 months for obstruction of justice after forging letters claiming that her child had cancer. Campbell must repay the full stolen amount. Excuse me as I have something in my eye. I'm fighting to get rid of that. Pardon me, folks. Okay, now it's better. It is 7:44. Netflix Studios at Fort Monmouth has cleared another hurdle with the Eatontown Planning Board approving Phase 1B of the billion-dollar project. The phase includes 4 sound stages, 3 mill buildings, and key structures on the former U.S. Army base in Oceanport in Eatontown. This facility was literally sitting there empty for years. The streaming giant aims at creating the premier East Coast production hub with demolition of old buildings underway and a property sale closing expected by December. Oceanport's planning board will review further plans in October. Very exciting. It is 51 degrees now at 7:45, and we will be back in a moment with connecting the dots between AI energy and what it means for New Jersey's future. We'll explain. Mostly sunny today, highs in the low to mid 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with your full Garden State forecast in 30 seconds. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:45. We will take calls at 888-658-0234. Lots of sun today, highs low to mid 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta explains with the details. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. It's a beautiful start to the day. You know, it's funny. I was just thinking how beautiful weekends we've had in a row, several of them over the summer, yet the first weekend after Labor Day, pouring rain. So kind of worked out nicely in our favor, right?
Mother Nature was depressed.
Yeah, yeah, right. There are all those that wanted that crisp fall weather to do the apple picking and pumpkin picking, have to wait another weekend. But I think you get your weekend this weekend because it'll feel very pleasant with the dry weather that's around, nice cool mornings, warm sunny afternoons. That'll be the case today. We started off in the 40s, climbing into the low 70s in northern New Jersey. Lots of sunshine all around the state as our drought continues. Now notice the moderate drought is now extended more from northern New Jersey all the way back toward Warren County, and then a little piece here in Mercer County down over toward portions of Middlesex County. Did I just freeze? Yes, I did. Okay, it's odd.
I'm enjoying watching Mike in that freeze. Here, let me imitate Mike. There we go. I'm just giving up Pam, our director, a heart attack by emulating that. There we go. Let's go back to Mike now. Mike's unfrozen. Oh, are we? Yes, we're good. Hey, Mike.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
strange.
Did you like that? Did you like my emulation of you?
I saw your emulation. I was just frozen there. That was wild. Well,
they made a movie about that.
Would you believe I was with some nieces over the weekend and I was watching it? So yes, it was
a great
fresh,
movie.
top of mind. Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, as we were saying, there is some cooler weather, not that cold, but cooler weather in our offing, and all that dry weather is allowing for some of these areas in New Jersey to turn to a drought, and that's why even sections of Mercer County now have a little bit of a drought there just north of Trenton. So we have seen a rainfall deficit, even though it's been a bit more of rainfall over the past week, and we're still running at about a 1 to 2 inch rainfall deficit for most of the state. That's that area of red you see that even extends down all the way toward Cape May. So looking for some more persistent wet weather, and we can look toward the tropics, but there's really nothing going on there, nothing in terms of development that may form. This one's a little too far south to form into a storm, so we're kind of quiet over the next several days. Speaking of back here closer to home, we have some average weather for New Jersey, September weather. There's a large area of warmth in the middle of the country. And then for the next week or so, at least through the September 18th, we're expected to be at least on average with terms of rainfall, just around what we'd expect for this time of year, which is not so much. It's typically a dry time of year. 7-day forecast, weekend always in view. Lots of warmth, especially by Thursday. Now, this is after a pretty wet Wednesday with some clouds and showers. I think by Friday into Saturday, it turns a bit warmer, and we have a beautiful weekend ahead with lots of sunshine and dry weather. If you're planning to head down toward the shore points, there is enough warmth to enjoy, especially in the afternoons, with Thursday climbing into the upper 70s, and the weekend looks really pretty too. Highs in the mid 70s throughout Saturday and Sunday. A lovely breeze out of the north and east, and that'll keep skies mostly clear and bring back a nice little end of summer feel for our last few days of proper summer before we get into fall in about 2 weeks.
Which I like to call improper summer. I'm just saying, it's just a personal thing. Improper summer, yes. Now I'm thinking of all the songs from Frozen because I had to say that before, right? Every song is going to be haunting me all day.
Hmm.
Disney, Disney's in my head now. They fired me. Leave it alone, Ken. You're no longer there. All right, it'll leave me. It'll leave me. Thank you. No, you cannot deny the awesomeness of Disney. It
Hmm.
really, their
Yeah.
stuff is amazing. Thank you, sir. We will check back with you. It is 7:50. And in terms of traffic, we have a crash now reported on US 1 northbound at Parsonage Road in Edison Township. The right shoulder's closed. That's causing a lot of traffic. Crash on the Turnpike Outer Roadway northbound south of interchange 13A, which is by Newark Airport 1 and 9. We showed you this shot before, so it's the right lane that's blocked, and that's causing people to have to divert. As of about 15 minutes ago, it wasn't that bad. It was still moving, but I'm sure it's building at this point. We also have a crash and vehicle off the roadway on the Turnpike southbound north of interchange 4, which is down in Mount Laurel Township. All lanes are open. The vehicle's off to the right side of the road, causing a little rubbernecking. And we have an overturned tractor trailer now on 1 and 9 northbound by I-78 in Newark. This is not good. This is ugly, and this is causing a lot of problems. It's going to take a while to get that cleared. Again, overturned tractor trailer 1 and 9 northbound, and that is by 78 in Newark with the one of the two lanes closed through there. If you're headed out to JFK, there is a crash by Terminal 8 departures level. I say that because if you are taking off from Terminal 8 at JFK, you basically can't get to the terminal right now. I don't know what they're doing to get people there. Maybe they'll have separate vehicles take you literally on the plane side. But right now you can't get up to the upper or lower level. It's just jammed. Unless they're just they get police there to get you on the arrivals level, and they'll drop you off there and you can go inside and go downstairs. But right now that's a nightmare. And we have delays on the Garden State Parkway northbound from 127 to 129, about 2.5 miles, all lanes open, just volume at this point. The approaches to the Hudson River, upper and lower levels of the GWB jammed. Absolutely jammed. We're told it's about 45 minutes in. Look at that, how ugly that scene is. The lower on the left, upper on the right. It is 35 at the Lincoln, and it is 35 at the Holland right now. So it's a rough ride into Manhattan. 7:52, and we're connecting the dots between artificial intelligence, energy, and what it means for New Jersey's future. Remember, AI needs massive amounts of electricity to run. Texas is at the center of a tech revolution, but its energy grid was never built for the AI era. Data centers powering artificial intelligence now require 20 to 30 times more energy than traditional tech. And the infrastructure just ain't keeping up. And we have in New Jersey an issue because we shut down 6 power plants in the last few years. That's why our energy costs, one of the reasons why they're so high. Joining us this morning is Mikey Lucas, the Frisco-based founder of American Energy Fund, and he's raising the red flag and backing it with bold action, investing in domestic oil, gas, and infrastructure to close the gap and support the next wave of AI growth. Good morning. Thanks for coming on. Do we have his audio, Pam? All right, we're clearing it up. Where are you physically located? Are you in New Jersey or are you in Texas?
I'm in Texas, Ken.
You're in Texas. So now Texas being the energy hub of America, you folks are intelligent. See, the Democrats of New Jersey are about as dumb as a box of rocks. And I say so with pride because it's like they would take a bucket of fish, throw it away, and then say, geez, where'd the fish go? We shut down 6 major energy plants, 5 of which were fossil, 1 was nuclear, before we could build a green energy plant, and suddenly energy prices surged. It's called supply and demand. It's an old thing. Someday I'll sit down and talk to them about it. And they didn't think that maybe that would impact price. So let's start with Texas. What's happening with the grid down there, and what are you guys doing intelligently to create such an urgent energy challenge?
You know, Ken,
Why is AI creating it, I should say?
Yeah, no, Ken, there's a big problem that we have, and it's not just the energy grid in Texas. There's 3 grids in the United States. You have the West Coast, you have the East Coast, and then you have obviously the grid in Texas, ERCOT. And Texas, as everyone saw back in 2020, 2021, we had the big freeze. And this has been going on for a very long time. The entire United States has a very, very fragile energy grid. And one of the biggest issues is, unfortunately, politics got in the way. And by no means am I saying we should go 100% to fossil fuels, and on the other side, and I'm not saying we should go to 100%, renewable, as far as solar and wind. I'm in the middle, actually, Ken. I come from the solar side. I used to work for Elon Musk's company, Solar City, which is now Tesla Energy. And so I do believe in renewable energy. And I do want, businesses and residential homes and, things like that to have solar panels to at least somewhat offset the grid. And obviously, the other side of that is I'm from Texas. So that's the oil country of the world, oil capital of the world. But what we're doing in Texas right now is actually producing and opening up permits for more natural gas power plants, as well as they're being very aggressive, Ken, on the nuclear side. And as you know, New Jersey has the majority of their power comes from nuclear. I believe it's roughly 15 to 18% of the power in New Jersey is actually being imported from states like Philadelphia, or places like Philadelphia and Texas. We can't do that. We're a closed grid here. So one of the cool parts about Texas is that we're actually having more power coming actually on site, which is in the last couple of years, which is kind of ironic, but over 90% of it actually was solar. One of the hard parts about solar is that, I don't know if you know this or not, Ken, but it doesn't work when the sun's not out. And so you have a problem there. For base load energy, we're putting up more nuclear and more natural gas. We have plenty of natural gas in Texas. We have plenty of natural gas here in the United States. And so natural gas is becoming more of the power source here in Texas.
Mikey, no, and again, I'm also not against multiple energy sources. I'm with you, my friend. The problem is you don't shut down 6 power plants until you build the new ones. That's the problem. And it's not like they're building them on the same. I could see if they were going to shut down a fossil plant, flatten it, and put a green or renewable plant on the same site. I get that. That wasn't the plan. The idea was there was such hatred, vehement hatred for fossil fuels that they shut down the plants before they could even think about, well, what do we replace them with? And the problem with importing it from Philadelphia, from Pennsylvania, is now we're paying them to import the energy, and they have their own energy issues. So this was a created problem, is my point. It didn't have to happen. And then you have people in this state that they have blinders on. They don't know how to vote any way but the letter D, because just like up in Massachusetts, they've only known one party their entire lives. Nope, I vote Democrat. Then why even bother showing up if you only vote one party? That's the problem in our state. I'm with you. I live half the time in Florida, and you'd think Florida is going to be, well, either all solar or not, because it's a Republican state. You look at the breakdown. Florida is solar. They have some wind, but it's mostly solar and fossil fuels. You know what my power bill for 1,400 square foot place is with air conditioning running all the time down there? $90 a month. Up here, my place is not that much bigger, and it's about 5 times that cost. I mean, it's not even close. It's not even close. But yet they keep voting for the same people. So now a lot of this, we talked about this, is data centers, AI, cloud storage. We need this. This is the future, right? So you touched on nuclear. So nuclear used to have a bad name, but now we're talking about new nuclear facilities that that AI can function, basically, right? AI could run them, and they would be smaller, not these massive facilities like 3 Mile Island years ago. Could you touch on that a little bit?
Sure. So the cool part about America is that we are an innovative country, and the hard part about nuclear, you say the name nuclear, right? And we just bombed Iran. And, so nuclear is unfortunately back in the news, and it got a bad name in it. Not only that, you have Chernobyl, you have all of these other, nuclear sites. We can't base the current technology based off of 1950s, 1940s technology. That's like basing, the safety of cars today based off of the, 1940s, cars. It's not as safe, back then. But today, because thank God for American innovation, is we have actually a way now to not just turn nuclear off, but to be able to make it extremely small and significantly more efficient. The hard part is that, and again, President Trump was just in Philadelphia and said he was going to permit a nuclear site within 2 weeks. And the hard part is in the data center world, in the data center business, nobody believes that nuclear is going to actually be around. They think that there's so much red tape, and there is. And that's the hard part. We need to bring common sense back to America. And it's unfortunate because if we don't do that, my mom, my parents, my friends, my family, and people in New Jersey and even here in Texas are going to suffer, and they already are. You guys have seen your guys' utility bills, and that's what hits home to the voters here in America. Is it's their utility bills that actually make a difference here. And so if we want to bring common sense and wealth and prosperity back to America, we have to have some common sense laws and put people in a room, close the door, and don't let them get out until they say, how can we actually solve this? And unfortunately, we're not going to solve it with solar panels. Now, I do think that people, if you can, and businesses, if they can, put up solar panels. There's tons of programs out there, statewide programs and so on and so forth, even with the one big beautiful bill, to be able to put up solar and to do that, to offset, the cost of their electricity. But with the data center specifically, Ken, is they're now having to switch, and this is very, very new. So you could even say this is breaking news because we're in negotiations with the big five right now. They have to make a decision. There's not enough power on the grid right now. The United States grid is so old and so fragile and costs so much money to maintain, which is why all of these wild infrastructure bills really haven't done very much, unfortunately. There was millions and millions and dollars, billions of dollars invested through one of the infrastructure bills a couple of years ago, and they built, I think it was less than 50 miles of transmission lines. I mean, that's a problem. And so when you put bureaucracy, if you look at the government, it's kind of like going to the DMV at large, and it's a real issue. And so for Americans, we need to stand up and say, if you're going to build a Costco or a Walmart or even now data centers, which are power hungry, hogs, they need to bring power on site, and that's actually what they're doing. They were very against it for a very long time because you don't want to fix something that's not broken. Well, it is extremely broken, Ken. And finally, now these AI companies and the data center developers are actually putting power on site. And that's the main thing. When you put up a new Costco, I think they should have the right to have their own line item to be able to provide their own power, whether that's natural gas or SMRs through nuclear or even solar panels if they want. And I'm not a really big fan of wind, to be honest with you. I think they're cool looking, and they're really cool to see kind of the blades on the freeway, but they do cause, issues on freeways, but I think they're cool. But as far as financially goes, they're not a great investment. And it's not just a talking point. I'm not some, puppet from Donald Trump. No, I actually looked at these and to invest in them because I was like, hey, what do we want? We want a return on our investment. And yeah, if I could snap my finger, Ken, and say, let's have a green tomorrow, I absolutely would do that. I don't think anybody would be against that. I don't. Democrats and Republicans both don't want to live like we're in China, where we have to use a mask, where our air quality is absolutely trash. So we do.
Mike, I got to pause you only because we're out of time. But just quickly, just remember that the original Tesla, Nikola Tesla, the guy for whom the company is named, he was the one who invented a concept or had a concept for transmitting electric in the air without having a grid system. And so if it existed 150 years ago, somebody's got to know how to do it today. We do that and we won't have to worry about a grid system, or just do what you're saying. Everybody be part of their own little grid and not have to worry about a nationwide system failing us potentially. We got to have you back on. Mikey, it is a pleasure hearing you and just an intelligent, middle of the road guy talking about energy with solutions for everybody. Mikey Lucas, Frisco-based founder for the American Energy Fund. Please come back. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ken.
You bet. It is now 8:03. We will be back in 30 seconds. You're watching ONNJ Mornings. Mornings. Good news for New Jersey residents, by the way. We'll tell you about the new statewide energy credit. Don't go away. Very good morning. It is Monday, September 8th, 2025. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, taking calls at 888-658-0234, straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Mike?
Hey, Ken, good morning. What a lovely start to the day. Lots of sunshine, a beautiful feeling after so much rain over the weekend. Well, that rain is long gone. The radar shows any of the showers far out to sea. So we stay nice and dry right now. And what you see here on the live radar sweep are just a few little morning mists and a little bit of the birds actually are what's being picked up on the radar, honestly. It's birds and bugs because that's what radar can see as well. Anything floating around in the air, raindrops, biological matter, it's all included. In fact, with a little bit of a gusty breeze this morning, there is a small craft advisory through Wednesday for the winds that really pick up tomorrow. Could be gusting out of the north and east up to 30 miles per hour along the shore, just reinforcing that chillier feel because it is cool. You start out our day this morning up in Sussex, 48 degrees, over in Long Branch, 64. So pretty widespread due to the drier conditions to the north and the little bit of a more humid feel along the water due to the water temperature still being warm in the low 70s. It's a solid 13 degrees cooler than this time yesterday in Sussex. So plenty of cool weather around, even 9 degrees cooler than 8 a.m. yesterday in Toms River. And the dew points, or the temperature where the air is saturated, nice and low in the 40s and low 50s. That is dry and that is crisp and refreshing. And it'll make it feel very pleasant through the rest of the day. So some thin clouds are offshore. Those are quickly moving to the east, and we'll enjoy a drier feel through this afternoon thanks to a northerly breeze. But then the winds really begin to pick up going into tomorrow afternoon and especially by tomorrow night. Notice how they climb up into the 20, 30 mile per hour range there from LBI down toward Atlantic City. That's a pretty gusty breeze that will be present right throughout the morning on Wednesday when some light rain returns. There'll be some clouds and showers that are back midweek. So lots of sunshine today. Highs in the mid 70s. It'll feel warm, but it still could be a little bit warmer. We're running about 3-4 degrees cooler than usual. And then headed into Tuesday, tomorrow we'll see the clouds increase later on in the day, but by Wednesday, there's a system offshore that throws back some clouds and a few sprinkles our way. The best chance of seeing some light rain is at the coast. You might run into a rogue shower to the north and west, but that'll eventually clears out by Thursday morning, bringing back lots of sun throughout the day on Thursday and a warmer feel. There'll actually be a little more humidity around, so as temperatures climb into the low 80s there in Newark and Trenton, it'll feel like summer's not going anywhere just yet. We get a few more bonus days of summer as we enter the first few, unofficial days of fall because, kids are back at school, everybody's back to the grind, and yet we're back in the 80s and sunny on Thursday. Does the weather last through the weekend? We'll let you know. Coming up with a check of your weekend forecast, Ken. That's in a few minutes.
When is it officially Indian summer? And are we still allowed to call it that?
Well, on this show, Ken, you can call it whatever you want, but are we allowed to call it that?
It's not disrespectful. It's like you get heat at one point. What point in the fall or whatever.
Right. I haven't been to a weather conference in about 2 years. I'm due for one, but I'm sure these are the things that are discussed. Is it PC to call it Indian summer anymore? I have to ask my peers.
They're all like, excuse me, they're all talking about upper atmospheric troughs and dips in the deep ocean. And you're like, excuse me, when is it Indian summer?
You get some old guy
tell
with
Favetta.
white hair who's been on TV for 50 years going like this. That's usually how it goes. That's how it goes.
We got
And
to
then he
send
buys
the tape
everybody
to
around
Bill
of drinks
Evans.
that night. So that's, yeah.
Oh, you
I
got
miss
it.
those days.
All right, my friend. We will check back with you. Thank you so much, Mike. It is 53 degrees now in northern New Jersey, 55 in Trenton. And some exciting news for New Jersey residents. We have a new statewide energy credit. Boy, this ties into what we were just talking about a few minutes ago. Every residential electric customer in New Jersey is set to automatically get a $100 bill credit. It's going to be split into two $50 payments for September and October for your utility bills. So you don't have any paperwork, no phone calls, no enrollment. It's automatic. But scammers are taking advantage of the moment, pretending to be utility companies. They're calling people up. They're saying, oh, in order to get your energy credit, you have to do X, Y, and Z, and they're trying to collect your personal information. Do not be fooled. Joining us this morning is Henry Gaida, who is Chief of External Affairs at the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities, to break down the program, what to watch out for, and where residents can turn for help. Good morning, Henry. Good to have you on.
Ken, thanks for having me.
You bet. So, you just saw what we were talking about, I'm sure, a few minutes ago. We had a guy on from Texas talking about energy solutions. The reality is energy bills here are out of control. But this is to offer people a little bit of a respite before we get into the deep cold of the winter, and people's energy bills are going to be astronomical, I'm sure. So tell us about the credit, how it appears on people's bills, who qualifies and when.
Sure. So the increases that you're talking about that New Jersey ratepayers experienced starting June 1st is really the result of increases in wholesale market prices stemming from PJM. It's a wonky acronym, but the only thing that folks need to know is that that's actually where we get our electricity from. The utilities purchase that electricity for us, and they charge ratepayers the wholesale price. They don't make any money on it, and the increase that we saw is specifically stemming from the increase in demand that's largely driven by data centers. By 2030, we're projected to need 32 new gigawatts of electricity. 30 of those 32 gigawatts solely for data centers. PJM covers a 65 million person grid. It's about 13 states, including Washington, D.C., all the way out as far as Illinois, all the way as south as Kentucky. And the PJMs originally standard for Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland. We were the three that started this regional grid and framework. But so,
Well, I mean,
while that's a
go
lot of
ahead.
information while that's a
No,
lot of
please,
information,
please continue.
I wanted to set some context for why we're seeing those bill increases, and ultimately, it's the thing that people really care about is what are we doing to help. And while we've put together a very comprehensive plan that looks at the short-term impacts and also long-term opportunities for us to help drive down costs and get more electricity online, the most important thing was how do we ensure that people can not be impacted by these rate increases that are quite staggering, up to 17 to 20%, depending on the utility that provides the services to you. And so the primary way was just to help mitigate the cost impact. That was the first thing that we wanted to do. And so, like you rightfully said, no one needs to do anything. There was a historic $430 million in direct bill credits that was announced by Governor Murphy, NJBPU President Christine Kulsadovi, and legislative leadership. And that means a $100 bill credit to all 3.9 million New Jersey ratepayers that receive their services from one of our 4 investor-owned utilities. And like you said, we have been starting to see some scams. We've been getting some fraudulent calls. And so, we really want folks to know that these credits are automatic. It's $50 between September and October, and you don't need to do anything to receive that credit. It will be automatically applied to your electricity bill.
Okay, and I'm sorry if I may, just want to jump in and say, I understand we buy from PJM. I've been following this. I've been an anchor in New York City, a journalist with ABC News for decades before doing the show. And I have covered the grid since probably before you were born. I mean, no disrespect when I say this. But let me tell you that there's something called supply and demand. When you shut
Sure.
down 6 massive power plants that contribute to that grid, it's called supply and demand. There is no way that can't impact the power. So as much as the administration in New Jersey would love to say, oh, it's because we're buying it from the grid, we have nothing to do with it. We had everything to do with it. So that said, I just want to make that clear. And the idea of that the energy credit that's going to these people is coming from Jesus in heaven, it's coming from our taxes. I mean, the credit is coming from somewhere. It doesn't just come from heaven. And the idea is obvious that we're just about to enter the highest energy use because of heat in a very cold northeastern state in November, December, January, February. So, the idea that people are getting a crumb right before they're about to get a $400 and $500 a month energy bill sounds nice, but it's really going to be challenging when we see what happens come February, January for people who are heating their homes with electricity as opposed to natural gas or oil. So I just want to set that clear. It sounds real nice, and I mean no disrespect, and every little bit helps. I do acknowledge that, but that's something I just want to make sure we're not polishing the shoe too much here. And Henry, but this again, and this is why we have you on. I don't mean to delve into the politics too much. I just wanted to get that out there, and I'm not
Okay.
trying to drag you into it. But the credit is entirely automatic. So in the event that a scammer calls somebody at home and says, "Hey, if you want to get this, you need to tell us your information. Should people just hang up immediately, or should they try to get their information and then call the police, call the state? What is the routine to take at that point, Henry?
So, Ken, that's a really important point. And one thing we want to caution everyone, regardless if it's related to your utility bill, if you're receiving a phone call from a number that you do not know, you're not anticipating a random call from someone, if you have voicemail, there's no harm in foul. Let the call go to voicemail. See what the message says, and then take that opportunity to discern whether or not it's a genuine phone call that you should call someone back for, or if in fact it is spam. If it is spam and you're sorry.
No. I'm sorry. Please, if it is spam, please. We have a delay. That's
so
why
if it is spam,
I'm sorry.
We've been seeing an uptick in fraudulent calls, which is what raised the alarm bells. One is too many. However, it's unfortunate that scammers are using this $100 bill credit as an opportunity to try and line their pockets. If you are receiving phone calls from scammers related to this, to seeking some information, whether it's a bank account, social security number, do not provide it. Our message is simple: hang up if you do answer the phone, and call us at 800-624-0241 to let us know about those scams. Ultimately, the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities nor your electric utility will call you to provide or to ask you for financial information to qualify you for the $100 bill credit.
Well, that's a good thing. And for people who are having trouble paying their bill, if people are having financial problems, there's also a program, right, for people who are beyond that $50 helping them. So could you just quickly, with about 30 seconds we have left, if you could just let us know how people can get in touch for that?
Sure. So you can call that same number I just mentioned, 800-624-0241. There are a variety of programs available to help you or someone you know reduce their energy costs. There's additionally a program called Community Solar, which helps you save a minimum of 15% on your electricity bills just by helping support clean energy investment and projects within your electric service territory. But all in all, there are programs available if you're looking for something like Community Solar or a customer assistance program called Universal Service Fund. It's the baseline program we have. We just expanded the program offerings. Please reach out. We're here to help, and we want all New Jersey ratepayers to know that.
Yeah, we don't want anybody suffering in the cold this winter just because of finances. Do not let that happen. You can call and you can get help.
There
That
are
number is
protections in
important.
place. Yep.
Absolutely. We don't want anybody suffering like that. We appreciate you. Henry Guida, please come back again and excuse, the show delves into the political, so please forgive that. I appreciate you're not doing that. And that's a good thing. We wanted you on to help people, and you did that.
For sure.
I appreciate you. And Henry
Happy to be
Guida
here,
is
Ken.
no, we appreciate it. And again, please do come back, especially once we get into the cold weather and the energy is going to be in high demand. And that's just the way it goes, supply and demand. But Henry is the Chief of External Affairs at the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities. Good man. Thank you for joining us this morning. Hopefully we will not have too cold a winter. Keep our fingers crossed.
Let's hope.
Yes. Have a great one, Henry. Thank you. 8:18 right now. We're going to be back in 30 seconds, pulling back the curtain on one of the fastest growing real estate scams in America. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. It's 8:19, and we are taking calls at 888-658-0234. Lots of sun today. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. A beautiful sunny day. The clouds are just 50 miles to our east. It's a wall of clouds that you can probably see some of the high, thin clouds, the cirrus ones at least, out toward the shore points. If you find yourself on LBI or down towards Seaside looking east, it looks rather ominous. Well, all of that is moving out to sea, leaving a lot of sunshine and drier weather in its wake. In fact, today's highs climb into the mid 70s, which will feel very pleasant. A little bit of a gusty breeze down toward the coast out of the north and east makes it a little bit cooler, but look at all this clear real estate we enjoy for today and tomorrow. It'll look fantastic. Then we tap into a little bit of wet weather. It's a system offshore that rides along the front and expands, giving us some extra clouds and showers by Wednesday, and that in turn will make it feel a touch more humid with some gusty winds by tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. So you can see the dew points rising into the 60s once we get to tomorrow evening. Even though it's still dry to the north and west, it's that northeasterly breeze. Even the color changes there to go to that shade of green down toward the southern half of New Jersey, where the northern part of the state stays nice and comfortable and dry. It's that wind out of the north and east that pulls in some of that moisture off of the Atlantic and makes it feel a bit more humid as we head into the rest of the week. By Friday, that clears out, and we're left with a nice sunny start to the weekend. Beautiful weather on tap for Saturday. Great weather for outdoor fall activities, and Sunday starts dry and sunny as well. Now, there could be some more clouds that return by Sunday afternoon, giving way to some rain by Monday morning. But beyond that, it's a dry weekend, and we'll take it, given how sunny it's been over the last week or so. Just had, of course, the hiccup of the weekend with all of that rain. By this weekend, we start off rather warm in the 70s. It'll feel a touch more humid for September standards. And even by Sunday, going to 77. So pleasant, a decent weekend ahead. Nice way to wrap up another fall weekend, as it was kind of a lazy weekend this past weekend with the wet weather, with the storms that rolled through New Jersey. Even had some flooding alerts in some parts of the state. None of that occurring this weekend. So a nice opposite feel with drier weather ahead.
All right, sir. We appreciate that. Dryer ahead. And speaking of which, my dryer just went off, so I thank you for reminding me about that. Thank you so much, Mike. I'll go. I have this little thing to do here, and then I'll go take care of it. All right, Mike. We'll check back with you. It's 50 beautiful degrees on this Monday morning in northern New Jersey. 55 in Trenton. 54 down in Vineland. 8:21 is our time, and we're pulling back the curtain on one of the fastest growing real estate scams in America. And it's happening right here in New Jersey. It's called home title theft. You may have heard the commercials for it, but it's something a lot of people are not paying attention to, and they need to. It could mean somebody takes ownership of your home, something you've counted on your whole life to retire and not worry about. You don't even know about it till it's too late. The worst part, it can happen in just a few clicks. Most homeowners don't find out until well beyond the time they could do something about it. Joining us today are two men from very different sides of the law. Matthew Cox is a former cyber con artist who once ran one of the largest home title fraud schemes in the nation. And Tom Simon, a former FBI agent who spent his career chasing down white-collar criminals like Matt. Together, they're here to warn New Jersey homeowners about how home title theft really works, how to spot the warning signs, and what you can do to protect yourself. Matt, good morning, and good morning to both of you. And first off, when we've seen the commercials for LifeLock, I've seen the commercials and heard. With all due respect, Matt, your voice gets annoying on that commercial. I'm just going to let you know. and they don't even know about it. I'm like, oh my God, I want to get this guy in jail. Let's start with you. In simple terms, what is home title theft, and how did you pull it off, and how many times did you pull it off?
Well, it's a crime that goes. It's a crime that doesn't get nearly enough attention, and basically, it's me or some criminal driving through your neighborhood, finding your house, deciding that they're going to transfer the deed to your house into their name, one of their accomplices' names, a synthetic identity's name, and they either sell your house or borrow against your house. And it's done very easily.
And at one point, I was going to say, Matt, if I may, you used to have to go down to the county clerk's office, but now they could do this online. Is that correct?
Oh, it's much easier now than when I was doing it. You can sit in your local coffee shop and go and take your computer. You can go online, search public records, find someone's deed, type up a new deed, and then record that deed all while sitting there drinking your coffee. You can open up a bank account, you can schedule a closing, you can do all of this. What took me weeks to set up, it now can be set up within hours. And it's much easier.
That is terrifying. That is terrifying. And over to Tom from the law enforcement side. Tom was with the FBI at the time. And Tom, how big a threat do you think this is today? And are you seeing more cases from our state here in New Jersey?
Absolutely. This is happening nationwide across the country. In fact, the FBI just busted a lady named Zena Thomas, who ran a nonprofit ostensibly to help low-income people who were behind on their property taxes. But instead of helping these poor people, Zena filed fraudulent deeds, transferring property ownership to fake names, and then she just sold the houses out from under these poor people who needed her help. This is happening everywhere, and it is a huge crime problem.
And it's that I guess lawmakers, for whatever reason, made this easier by making it something we could do online. You have home title lock that you're with now. And is it that the lawmakers need to catch up and wake up and realize this is not something that should be done or so easy online? I mean, why not require a notary public stamp and identification and things like that?
In all fairness, they do require a notary stamp, but that's very easily faked. You can go to Home Depot tomorrow, Office Depot rather, and buy one. But by statute, county clerks are not tasked with investigating the validity of a title transfer. Their job is simply to record the deed, whether it's valid or not.
That's amazing. So there is no safety in place, and you would think that, home title lock. You've been warning people about this, and you would think that lawmakers would say, "Hey, you know what? Let's add a speed bump in the road to slow this down, so it's not so easy." Do we have any stats? In fact, let's go back to Matt. Do we have any stats? Do you know of any stats about how many of these are happening a year?
Well, the problem is it's underreported, and it's not reported correctly because there is no actual law specifically designated to charge someone with title theft. What they charge you with is wire fraud, bank fraud, financial institution fraud, mail fraud. There's a number of charges, so it's almost impossible to track them. And as far as the public records, I wanted to mention that there's over 3,500 county public records. Do you think that you're going to get over 3,500 groups of politicians to agree to correct this problem? It's just not something that's going to be correctable. It's not a federal problem. It's a county problem. And you see what I'm saying? There's so many issues with this crime, and law enforcement often it'll get reported, and law enforcement a lot of times they don't understand it and they don't want to deal with it. So they say, "Hey, this sounds like a civil issue, not a criminal issue," when it is absolutely criminal.
100%. In fact, I'm on your website right now. I'm looking at it. It's for anybody who wants to check it out. It's hometitlelock.com, hometitlelock.com. And you should check this out. So the way Home Title Lock works is what? When somebody tries to get a fake deed or whatever to take over your house, you're alerted at that point. So explain how that works.
I'm happy to. You want this one?
Go ahead.
Do you want to take it, Tom? Mm-hmm.
No, go ahead, Tom.
It's a two-pronged process. There's the notification process where Home Title Lock is monitoring the status of your title. So if it's transferred out of your name or a lien is put on it, you're going to be notified. But then it's like having two goalies in a hockey game. And then what happens is if the bad guy is able to change the title of your home before you're able to act upon it, there's a restoration team that reverses that and then alerts law enforcement so they can make the case.
Okay, so the idea is to try to at least get the alert and cut them off at the pass, but it's frightening at how simple this is. It's again just a case of the criminals outsmarting the system and not paying attention. In the event that it does move forward, how do you folks, in fact, and we'll go back to Matt on this one, how does Home Title Lock help facilitate, say once the deed goes through? I mean, if it goes through, are they kind of screwed at that point? What happens?
Well, what happens is Home Title Lock is willing to spend up to $1 million on legal fees in order to correct the problem. Because let's face it, if someone told you that your home title had been transferred or someone had borrowed money against your house, I mean, that's great, but you don't really know what to do. You're not a real estate attorney. So they'll actually go out of their way and they'll correct the problem. That's to me the huge selling point of this product. This is the type of product that would have stopped me in my tracks. The notification for a criminal is terrifying. The great thing about this crime for someone like myself is that I was able to wreak havoc for months and months and months before the homeowner was ever even notified that I'd done anything. And this stops that immediately.
And you spent over a decade in prison for this, right?
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
But not everybody is rehabilitated in that time. So you spent that time thinking about how you could come out of this on the positive side, and how smart that you're able to get involved in helping other people. You can make it your income by helping other people not get. I mean, this is usually everybody's biggest investment is their home. And especially older people, they go to retire. They don't want to worry about this. This should be something they paid into 20, 30 years so they could just relax in their retirement and not worry about it. And it's terrifying that it's just so easy, especially online today, to just have a couple of clicks and immediately, boom, take over. If somebody's watching right now, they want to check if their title's been tampered with, what's the first thing they should do today to protect themselves? Matt,
I think they should go to Home Title Lock. I'm sorry again, Matt. HomeTitleLock.com is certainly would be my first stop. If you own a property and you aren't monitoring the status of your title, you're a potential victim.
Yeah. Well, there you go. And I like I said, I'm on the site right now. You have me terrified. That's the deal. So I own one property, not the one I'm sitting in right now, but I will be taking a part in HomeTitleLock.com. So check your website. You'll see my name in a little bit. HomeTitleLock.com is the website. You get more information, find out how you could protect your most important investment in your life, your home. Matthew Cox, Tom Simon, please come back again. This is just too important a situation that people are not paying attention to. And I guarantee, I'm sure you know this already, if I were to talk to 100 friends, 100 out of 100 would say, huh? What are you talking about? And not even realize that they are about to be the victims of crime. And it could be just devastating for their lives. Thank you both for joining us this morning. It's great to have you on.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You bet. It is 8:31. And when we come back, if you are a fan of Apple products, tonight is Christmas Eve. What do I mean by that? Well, tomorrow, the tech giant is releasing a whole slew of new products. Brand and digital strategist Fisher joins us to talk about what to expect. You're watching on ONNJ Mornings. We'll be back in 30.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Hoffman, host of Energy Matters. Join me every night at 6 p.m. where we're discussing energy affordability, challenges, and solutions with stakeholders and elected officials. Join me weekdays at 6 p.m. on Energy Matters on ONNJ.
Back, you're watching on ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. It is Monday, September 8th, 2025. 52 degrees in northern New Jersey, 55 in Trenton. And it is going to be a beautiful day. Sunshine, highs in the low to mid 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the detailed Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. It is going to be a beautiful day. Sun is shining right now across New Jersey. We've got nothing but clear weather over the state. Just a few high, thin clouds at the coast, but they are departing quickly, making for a very pretty scene to start our morning. So getting back to the grind on this Monday, first full week of the work and school year, at least getting going in that respect, with temperatures beginning at 73 in Egg Harbor City, 74 in Camden. It'll warm nicely throughout the morning, so we won't be stuck in the 50s where we are across most of the state right now. But at least in terms of the daylight, notice we're approaching that equinox happening later on in about 2 weeks, where the daylight hours are equal to the nighttime hours. And right now it's sunrise at 6:31, sunset at 7:17. It's getting closer. We start off our day with plenty of clear weather, and it stays that way through this afternoon. Any of these clouds you see stay offshore through today and tomorrow, but they make a return by Wednesday, and that is due to a system offshore that not only brings back some winds throughout tomorrow and Wednesday, also brings some rain. You see those light showers coming in throughout Wednesday morning into the afternoon. lasting into Wednesday evening, and then eventually clearing out. So this high that gives us our lovely weather today and tomorrow scoots offshore, and look what happens as this wet weather moves on in, gives us some clouds, showers as the low rides along that, and predominantly provides for a pretty gray day on Wednesday. It all clears out by Thursday afternoon, so we're not stuck in that gray pattern for very long. And then by Friday, nice and sunny again with a warmer feel as temperatures climb well into the upper 70s, even touching 81 by Thursday. It'll look beautiful come Thursday afternoon. Back to the sunny weather. There's actually a touch more humidity that works in as well for Thursday into Friday and Saturday. And some of that the beautiful weather lingers into the weekend. We have a gorgeous weekend ahead with lots of sunshine, maybe some clouds by the second half of Sunday, but other than that, looks pretty decent. Now, while the overnight lows in northern New Jersey are cool, it's not as chilly down at the coast. And the reason for that is that wind's coming off of a 72-degree Atlantic Ocean, so it'll still feel mild overnight, climbing into the upper 70s by Thursday and staying there for this weekend. So a very pretty week ahead going into this weekend. Just have to plan for that wet weather one day on Wednesday, Ken, and then we're right back to a beautiful feel as we wrap up official summer on a nice mild note.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate you, Mike. Beautiful sunshine right now. 51 degrees northern New Jersey, 55 in Trenton. And we do have a disabled vehicle now in the Garden State Parkway to tell you about. Northbound south of exit 81, which is Lakehurst Road, Toms River. The right shoulder is blocked there. We have a crash on the parkway. Southbound, just north of 131A, which is Wood Avenue South and Woodbridge with the right lane blocked. Issues over at JFK. There is an accident by the Terminal 8 departures level. That's causing a mess for anyone who has to get dropped off at Terminal 8 at JFK. If you're headed that way from New Jersey, just beware. Give yourselves lots of extra time because I don't know how they're going to get passengers to Terminal 8 with the accident. They're working on getting that cleared right now. And a crash in a vehicle off the roadway, Jersey Turnpike southbound north of Interchange 4, Route 73, Mount Laurel Township. All lanes are open. Vehicle off on the right shoulder, but that is causing rubbernecking. Overturned tractor trailer 1 and 9 northbound by 78 in Newark with the right lane closed. And the approaches to the Hudson River have been a disaster all morning long. The Lincoln is now reporting 35 minutes. Holland is 30. Upper and lower levels of the GWB bumper to bumper. Look at that. Just an absolute mess. We're told 35 to 40 minutes in either approach. It is 8:36. If you are an Apple person, by that I mean the product, not the fruit. Your year consists of buying the latest tech products the giant has to offer and spending your time becoming totally dependent on them, only to wait for the next time that they have more goodies to buy, and then you buy them again. Then there's tomorrow, the day when Apple plans on announcing all the new tech gadgets to spend your hard-earned money on. Brand and digital strategist Fisher, who can be found on X, Threads, and Instagram with username @Fisher and through his website, fisher.media, he spends the money for you to
I
tell
knew
you
this was
whether
a
you
shot
should
at me.
buy this.
I knew this was a shot at me.
He joins us now with the details. How was that a shot? If you want a shot, I could tell him about what a geek you were when you were 14 years old. That's a shot.
Being dependent on the phone and dying until the next one comes out. It is all true, but I still felt like that was a personal attack. But anyway,
well, listen,
yes.
Listen, you're talking to a guy who still has a rotary phone, and I keep trying
that
to
is true, and I can attest to that.
And
yes,
when I text people with it, they say they don't get the text. I don't understand.
Apple's Awe-Dropping event is scheduled for tomorrow. As you mentioned, it kicks off at 1 o'clock. It's going to be streamed live on Apple's website, apple.com, YouTube, and other platforms. Now, the iPhone 17 series is going to include 4 models, including the iPhone 17, the base model, iPhone 17 Air, iPhone 17 Pro, and the 17 Pro Max. Now, the 17 features, which again is the base model, will feature a larger screen, 24 megapixel front camera, a new A19 chip, that's the iPhone chip, and an always-on display. The 17 Air is a new model that it's going to have an ultra-thin design, 6.6-inch display, the same chip, the A19, and a single rear camera. So it's not going to have the telephoto lens or anything of that sort. That's how they're going to keep it thin, if you like that, if you carry it around in your jacket pocket or your shirt pocket. The iPhone 17 Pro, my favorite, my personal choice, includes a new camera bar design replacing the bump, which is the current design, the A19 Pro chip, a 24 megapixel front camera, and a 48 megapixel telephoto camera. And then the Pro Max shares all the same features as the 17 Pro, but has a thicker design because it has improved battery life. Now, the Apple Watch Series 11 rolls out as well, or is at least expected. It's a modest update because last year's Series 10 was the big overhaul. So it's going to be a very modest update, faster chip, 5G support on the cell service, which is fantastic. Up to this point, it's only been 4G LTE, and the same design and sizes as the previous model, so it'll fit your bands and your Apple Watch protectors, things of that sort. And then the Apple Watch Ultra 3 is the big daddy. That's expected to receive a significant update since its 2023 debut. All those specific details have not been outlined yet. We'll see those tomorrow. Apple is also working on a blood pressure monitoring for the Apple Watch, but it's unclear if it'll be ready for Series 11.
So those of us old people who have heart issues, we're going to want that. For real, though, I no joke.
Yeah.
I do have an electronic device that's a little more cumbersome than the Apple Watch, but that is so important. If you have atrial fibrillation, if you have even the tiniest elevation in your blood pressure, that could really save your life. All joking aside, keep monitoring it.
Yeah, on the Apple Watch currently, it already does heart monitoring, so it'll be a definite upgrade. And it's noticed situations for folks that have directed them to go to their doctor. Apple Watch is not, and Apple is not a diagnosis thing, but it's definitely something. If you saw elevated blood pressure and something with the heart came back, definitely a reason to go see your doctor. So they are implementing these health items into their devices, which is fantastic.
There have been anecdotal stories I know of people who said that they didn't realize they were having a heart attack. And it's because, again, as you said, because they don't want to be liable for it. They're not specifically for the purpose of protecting and monitoring your life. But just by, as a side, it's nice to know that, if all of a sudden your heart is going into some kind of a weird rhythm, that your life could be saved. So that aside, other product launches we could be looking for?
Yeah, rumors include AirTag 2. Those are the little tags that you could put in your backpack, your luggage, your car, whatever. The new Apple TV 4K, HomePod Mini 2, and the new Apple Vision Pro. The Apple Visions, they aren't like the Meta glasses where they're just glasses. These are the full goggles. The Apple Vision Pro is supposed to roll out with a new chip, more comfortable head strap. So as you sit there for hours on your couch looking up like this, and doing whatever, it should be more comfortable for you. So that's fantastic. And they'll also have upgraded neural engine for better Apple Intelligence. And given Apple Intelligence, you can only go up from where it is now. So hopefully Apple Intelligence as a whole is improved on.
I mean, the whole idea of not having to look down, we get the crane neck from looking down at our phone like that. My chiropractor, my orthopedic surgeon have told me that this is all they're getting. They're getting people complaining about getting carpal tunnel, and people complaining about their neck and shoulder blades being in pain like never before in history. And that's because of the last 2 decades, everybody's doing this. Beforehand, they didn't do this.
Right. Actually talk to people. It's a weird concept.
Yeah. What is that? I don't know what talking to people. You know me, I'm very silent. I don't use my mouth at all.
Well, I was like you on the radio for decades, so I was used to sitting in a room by myself, talking to myself. So
little did we realize no one was actually listening. But that's
why we're here together.
Story. That's so we can continue not being listened to. This is all an exercise in therapy for us, by the way. A lot of people don't realize. They'll put that on our tombstone.
This is where we meet every Monday.
They talked to nobody and liked it. Rest in peace. But for real though, the idea of being able to not have your neck down and have a device like that to be able to see, that's a brilliant concept. Would you still have,
as of now though, it's impractical for walking around in normal society because it's like goggles and you look dumb.
Right.
So at least Meta is coming out with the glasses that they look like normal glasses, and it's like an on-screen display in front of your eyes that you see information. So but there are 2 different use cases as well, and we can go into that on another time. But the Apple Vision Pro and the Meta glasses are, Meta is looking for a more real world application. Apple Vision Pro is able to sit at your desk, do work from the goggles. But if you walked out into real life wearing those, you'd be stared at, or you look like a normal day on the New York City subway. So
No, I'm never stared at. No, never. All right. Thank you so much. No, yes, look at the eyes. Brandon, digital strategist Fisher, who can be found on X, Threads, and Instagram with username @Fisher, or go to his website, fisher.media. Fisher, thank you for joining us this morning, my friend.
Take care. Don't call me tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I won't answer the phone.
Oh, like you answer it anyway.
It's true. I see you calling. All right.
Yes, exactly. See ya.
Bye.
It is now, what is it, 53 degrees at 8:44 when we come back. It is a special day. Happy Gilmore 2 is the blockbuster that gave New Jersey a boost for its economy. We're going to talk with the executive director of the New Jersey Motion Picture and Television Commission to discuss what it means for the state's growing film industry. We just talked about Netflix and their new facility just on the verge of opening. It's they're breaking ground right now, and it's going to be exciting for New Jersey. We'll talk about that. Mostly sunny today, highs low to mid 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast, plus taking calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. We'll be right back. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:45. Again, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Sunshine, lots of it. Highs in the low to mid 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Mike, and it looks like we're going to have an abundance of it, but how does this impact our drought situation?
Well, the drought will only get worse, but there is some rain for Wednesday, which is good. It's not enough rain, maybe just a tenth of an inch, just a couple sprinkles around New Jersey that come through early in the morning. We had some significant rains over the weekend, which certainly helped, even too much rain at some points with some flooding concerns. That's not the case today, though. We're nice and dry as the dry weather returns. Best way to go about the week with the clear sky. With the drought that continues for most of northern New Jersey, even down toward portions of central New Jersey, where that moderate drought shown in tan is prevailing, anticipate the dry weather to continue as there's really no significant rainfall that we've seen, at least from the last few weeks. We've been in that rainfall deficit for the last 30 days, the 1 to 2 inches, even for most of New Jersey, even down to 2 to 4 inches in Cape May. The tropics are quiet and we'll keep them that way, at least for the next week. No big development there as we approach the statistical peak of Atlantic hurricane season. It happens this week, but we're dry, we're clear. There's actually a big dome of warm weather across the middle of the country, but here in New Jersey, we'll see average highs that'll take our dry weather continuing for at least to the middle of the month. Now, with the next few days featuring dry weather, at least until Wednesday, there is some wet weather throughout the day on Wednesday, and then it's back to clear sky on Thursday and Friday with warmer weather for the weekend. Nice and dry upcoming. Overnight lows are in the 50s, so it's cool in northern New Jersey, but the short points are a little bit milder at night in the 60s with the rain and the clouds on Wednesday. It's back to clear weather by Thursday and Friday, and beautiful for this upcoming weekend. So a great week to enjoy with the one hiccup of the day on Wednesday, and then we enjoy the regularly scheduled fall with that crispness to the air, the low humidity, all of the fun things to do this weekend on Saturday and Sunday with a really nice feel, Ken.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. And you know what? I'm like doing some old school electronics here. Fisher would mock me as he usually does. Rather excited. I didn't tell Pam about this traffic incident, so that's what I'm doing here with the tablet. But Mike, have a wonderful day, sir. We'll
You
check
too.
you again
I'll catch you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure. It is now 52 degrees, northern New Jersey, 55 in Trenton. And because I didn't tell Pam to get this camera shot, we're going to play old school. So that right there, see the traffic right there. That is the result of an issue we're having on the Garden State Parkway. There's a crash on the Garden State Parkway southbound north of exit 131, which is 131A, Wood Avenue South in Woodbridge Township. The right lane is blocked, but that's causing about 2.5 miles of delays. That's why we showed you that right there. We also have a crash and vehicle off the roadway on the Turnpike southbound north of Interchange 4, which is Route 73, Mount Laurel Township. All lanes open, vehicles off on the right shoulder. And we have an overturned tractor trailer reported right now. Of course, did they just take it away from me? They did. Oh, no, here it is. It's on 1 and 9 northbound by I-78 in Newark. The right lane is closed. Just had this pop in. That's why everything just changed on me. A crash on 295 as you're going toward Philadelphia, southbound, south of exit 29, which is Route 30 in Barrington. 2 right lanes of the 3 lanes closed. So that's causing a mess down there. Your approaches to the Hudson River. Right now, we got 35 to 40 minutes at the Lincoln. That's ugly. 30 minutes at the Holland. And take a look at your upper and lower levels of the GWB. It's now 35 minutes on the lower level, which is on the left side, and it's 30 minutes on the upper on the right. 8:49, Happy Gilmore 2 is the blockbuster that gave a boost to New Jersey's economy. The film, starring an awfully nice guy I've gotten to meet a few times over the years, Adam Sandler, wasn't just a fan favorite, it made history here in the Garden State. In fact, the movie spent $152.5 million during 64 filming days across 31 towns and 9 counties. That was a hell of a boost to the economy here for us, making it the largest production spend in New Jersey history since the state's film tax credit program was reinstated in 2018. Joining us this morning is John Crowley, who's the executive director of the New Jersey Motion Picture and Television Commission, to talk about what this means for the state's growing film industry, the Netflix effect at Fort Monmouth, and how it all translates to jobs and dollars for our communities. John, good morning to you.
Ken Rosato, 8:50 in the morning. How are you not exhausted? I've been watching you for the last 15 minutes, and all these conversations, you are all over the place. You're like a bee that's pollinating wherever you go. You've already done more in the last 15 minutes than I have in the last day and a half. I'm telling you, my friend, you are everywhere.
Did my mother
Just
put
like
you up
Happy
to
Gilmore.
this?
No, Pam, no, but just like Happy Gilmore, there's a transition, my friend. $152 million throughout the state, right? And I think they were in 31 different towns all around the state. And it was fantastic. And that's, people talk about the incentive program that the governor and the legislators in Trenton put together back in 2018. And that's what it's all about. It's about jobs and it's about qualified spend. They don't come to the state with groceries and hotel rooms and gasoline and rental vehicles, and when they need to do the cleaning of their costumes, the dry cleaning, or they need hardware for paint and brushes and things like that, they're acquiring all of that here in the States. So that $152 million was spread around 31 different towns over, I think, 64 days of filming. So it's fantastic. That's why we do what we do. And I'll give you one more set of numbers, which last time we spoke about a month ago, I don't know if we got into or not, but year over year, we went from the industry spent $592 million in 2023 to last year was the biggest year in the state. The studios and networks spent $837 million throughout the state. And we went from 17,000 crew hires in 2023 to 30,000 in 2024. And we were the only state, when you look at the states with a film tax incentive to get studios here to spend their money and hire our people, and those are the 2 reasons why we do what we do, out of the top 10, so that's Louisiana, that's Georgia, that's New York, that's LA, that's Texas, Illinois, Toronto even, although that's in Canada. But if you look at the top 10, here in North America, we were the only state that was up in production. Everybody else was down. New York was flat. Everybody else was down. We were up 41%. So pretty amazing. That's why we do what we do.
And just for people to think about it, what would have happened financially had we not had that money? Think about the deficit that we have in New Jersey right now. Can you imagine if we didn't have that huge influx of cash throughout the state? That just tells you how essential. This isn't just a nice little cherry on the sundae. This is essential to our economy at this point.
I mean, look, I have a son that's at a university right now. I come from 30 years of working in the industry. I started as a writer and a director and an editor, moved my way up to showrunner, and then created shows, sold shows. I'm putting a child through college. And I think about all the people that when I go out to sets, when I see members of IATSE or the Teamsters, and they talk about, this is incredible to be able to wake up in the morning, get in our car, and go drive to work to get to set. as opposed to it's been 20 years of driving across the river or going across a border to another state. It's right here, and they love it. And they're all putting kids through college, and they're buying homes and paying taxes, and that's what it's all about, man. It's creating jobs and getting that spend all throughout the state. That's one of the things the commission does is we work very hard to, when location managers and scouts come in. By the way, I'm going to shout from the rooftop here for a moment. The Film Commission just did win an award from the Location Guild Manager International, Best International Film Commission. And one of the things we do is we work very closely with location scouts and location managers, and we have a location library that they can come to, and we try to get them to see that there's so much around the state in terms of architectural looks and natural environments. You can go from the ocean to a mountain with snow in 90 minutes. And I tease my friends in New York, it'll take you 90 minutes to go crosstown, right? But you can go from one look to another, or we have a small Mayberry RFD sort of town look, Main Street, to a big city. And they're in the northern part of the state and they're in the southern part of the state. You can go down to Camden County, or you're up in Newark or Patterson, Hoboken, and then everywhere in between. We've got horse farms in central Jersey. So it's a wide variety of looks. And for a location scout or a line producer or a unit production manager, time is money, right? So if you've got a script with multiple different looks, New Jersey's one-stop shopping. We've even doubled as Southeast Asia. And I said once to the governor, I said, the only thing we don't have is a desert. And he said, no, we have 30 acres in Lacey. And it's true. So we've even actually doubled as some places in the Middle East with sand dunes. So it's one-stop shopping. And we offer that, by the way, Ken, to small productions, big productions. We have a thing called Film Ready. So if you're a municipality and you want to become a film-ready town, it's a certification program. You go through a workshop, what to expect when expecting a film production in your town. We'll give you the training. We'll help you put together an ordinance or a code of conduct for your town. And then what we're doing is we sat for about 4.5, 5 months last summer with the Attorney General's office, and we redid the whole program to create consistency through the state. So if you're a studio or network, now you know exactly how many days, if you go to a film-ready town, to get a permit, what the permit fees are, right? So there's no question, because previously studios or networks would say, oh, there's 564 different towns in New Jersey, meaning there's 564 different sets of rules. So with this program, we're trying to build consistency. We 100% increase in the number of film-ready towns just this August, and I think I think we're now up to like 45 or 46 towns. By the end of the year, I'm pretty sure we're going to hit about 60, 65 towns. So we're just growing it exponentially, because these towns realize we'd love to have production in, because when they come here, they're going to buy our services. If it's a late walking meal, they're going to go to our pizza place or a sub shop to go get food. When Spielberg was down in Cape May in March, we pointed out to a state senator, we said, see, there's 350 crew members here today. They're all staying at 8 hotels in your district at an average of $285 per night. And the senator looked at me and he said, and it's in the off season. And I said, yes. And the hotel owners are ecstatic that you're here, that the production's here. And then every night, they take their per diem and they're buying dinner at restaurants all around that district. So that's what it's all about.
And that's how we spread the wealth. And the idea that we have the New Jersey Motion Picture and Television Commission to help facilitate this, so that when somebody's thinking about shooting a production in New Jersey, they don't have to look up the town and get the contact and try to go through the process. You facilitate that. Between that and the tax credit incentive, that's why, and we're out of time, unfortunately, John. We're going to have you back because we want to talk about Netflix. But the idea that you help facilitate this, and people get the incentive, the tax incentive, makes all the difference. John Crowley, please come back, Executive Director of the New Jersey Motion Picture and Television Commission. You rock. Thank you for saving New Jersey's ass, and thank you for joining us this morning, my friend.
No, thank the governor and the legislators for opening the door to this, and all of our great commissioners that it's all about spreading the word about New Jersey.
Credit where credit's due. You are right, sir. Have a good day, John, and thanks for watching ONNJ Mornings. Take care.